this beast. That's what I'm talking about. That's the monster we've been looking for right there, guys.
All my friends are heathens, take it slow. Wait for them to ask you who you know. Please don't make.
Alright, we've made it to part 4 of the lake fishing video. This is the one I've been most excited about. And today it looks like it might be a little bit tougher day. There's hardly no wind blowing. Looks like it's going to be bluebird skies. So we're going to go get at it and see what we can get done. Now, some of the areas that I'm going to look for in the lake. If I go to a new lake, a lot of times I'll probably fish a lot of spots. You can look at your fish finder if you got one. When I first started out, I had a fish finder on my boat, my first boat, but it wasn't, I mean, it was a joke. I mean, it didn't, I had no confidence in it. I don't even think it was reading the depth half the time. So a lot of things that you can do when you're at new lakes is fish a jig. And like you see here, we're still running the finesse jig. And, you know, I would fish that bigger jig starting out, but we're going to try to key in and get a few more bites. So I think that finesse jig is probably going to get more bites than one of our bigger jigs is. Now, that's a lot of the reason that I try to use our bigger jigs is because we're looking for that bigger bass, that bigger bite. But a jig is a really good way to feel the bottom. You know, I mean, if you're pulling that thing along and you're not feeling anything, it's just you're getting leaves back, mud. I'm not saying you can't catch bass in the mud and stuff, but preferably I like some kind of structure. So rocks, brush piles, anything that's going to be different, that's going to give them advantage to ambush their prey. Now, another thing that we'll use is going to be another dragon, or a bottom dragger, and that's going to be a Texas rig, and we've got a Rage Crawl on there for right now. Got one of our swing heads. Now, that's another good tool that, you know, summertime, you know, we've caught a lot of fish on it, and we may talk about some tips on the hook set, stuff like that I've learned. Now, as far as going to a new lake or something like that, you know, obviously you're not going to really know a whole lot of spots if you've been, you know, if you're just getting there. So stuff like a jig or a Carolina rig, which I don't fish a whole lot, but I have fished, and that's a good way to feel the bottom layout, stuff like that. I've seen a lot of fish caught on Carolina rigs. But the swing head here, you know, I know you guys have heard me talk a lot about swing heads, and you can fish it a lot faster, and that's a 3/4 ounce. So if I end up going out deeper, probably 15+ foot at some point today, that'll be something I use. If you're gonna fish up shallower, I'd probably recommend like a 1/2 ounce. Now you can just make a cast out and just reel it, but you want to keep bottom contact. So you're going to be able to feel rocks, you're going to be able to feel brush piles, you're going to be able to feel stuff like that, and over time you'll learn the difference by the feel. Something else that we're probably going to use today, that's going to be one of our shaky heads, one of our Black Fox Outdoor shaky heads, and I've just got a green pumpkin trick worm on there for now. But you know, stuff like that today, that we're going out as we're coming out to a new lake. I mean, we've been to this lake a million times, but we're going to try to have that mentality of coming out to a new lake, new baits, kind of stuff that I probably would look forward that would get me more bites than any other bait that I've got in my boat. Now, as far as our big jig, stuff like that, you know, a lot of times we're trying to single out bigger bass. I mean, we're looking for that 3 to 5 category or even more. But finesse jig, you're going to be able to draw a lot more smaller bass. Texas rig, the swing head, shaky head especially. Shaky head, every bass that comes in front of is going to bite it. So let's go get to the lake and get showing you guys. You guys have heard me say before, when it comes to working a shaky head, I know a lot of people think, well, shaky head, you got to just sit there and, you know, just work your rod like this. There's a whole lot of shaking. That ain't really the most efficient way to work it. If you are wanting to shake it, the best way I can describe it is you just want to shake the slack in your line. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to shake the tail of that bait without actually moving it. So when you just shake just the slack in your line, it'll give that tail just enough action, it'll make it move. Now, I wouldn't probably push shaking it in one spot in a long period of time, just for the simple fact if you don't know where the fish are. Now, if you tie the fish down to, hey, there's usually fish on this log, or hey, the fish have been about this deep, when you get in that area, then I might do it. You know, kind of better your odds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it go down, hit bottom, and I'm just going to pull it along. You know, and every once in a while I might kind of pop it a little bit like that, and then just wait for the bass to hit it. So we'll go through here and see if we can't get a catch for you. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what you can get done with our shaky heads, guys. And you guys seen he's pegged. He's not coming off. And it was just the slightest little deal and the line started moving. So that's just with a shaky head and a straight-tailed worm, guys. I'm telling you, it can happen. Okay, so that's the second bite I've had there that was a bass bite, but as soon as they picked it up, they're setting it back down. Now, there's a few different things that you can do to try to combat that. One is put some scent, you know, on your bait, whatever you're using. Or the next is to just change something that change your bait up. So I mean, throw them, you know, go back with a shaky head, or you know, here I'm gonna try to hit him with a wacky rig real quick, see if we can't go ahead and at least look at that fish. And wacky rig, I know you guys haven't heard me talk about it much because I haven't really fished it much, but a big Senko, a small hook. There's two different types of hooks that you're going to use. One's going to be a weedless, and one's going to be just a regular open hook. Now, depending on where you're going to be at, whether it's going to be in a bunch of grass or brush or places that you can get hung up real easy, that kind of what's going to be the deciding factor to whether you fish weedless or not. Now, if you're just only going to buy one and you're not sure which to buy, I would probably recommend getting the weedless, because I mean, weedless is always a better choice. I mean, I don't know how much it really hinders your hook set, but a lot of times on these, when I'm fishing these small hooks or anything that's got like that true turn look, or anything that's kind of looks like a circle hook, so if you guys get some of those, a lot of times those kind of hooks you can just kind of reel into the fish and just kind of pull real snug like, and it'll go ahead and set perfect right in the corner of their mouth. So when you fish these, throw them out, let them set, and they're just going to quiver going down to the bottom. Once they hit bottom, I'll watch your line. You can know when it stops pulling line that it's on the bottom. Pull up, just to make sure there's not a fish on there. If you pull up and the line gets snug and the line's moving, go ahead and reel in and pull into it. If not, then you can go ahead and pop it a couple more times and let it just kind of flutter back down. So here's first fish. We had to break out the Senko, but we finally found one. There he is. Pretty decent fish. Not huge. He's definitely bigger than the last one. So oh, even bring the worm back. That's nice of him. So there he is. Here's the thing that I want you to have the takeaway from. Okay, so we come out here with the lakes to give you guys some areas to fish and stuff like that. And you can look right over here. The camera will go ahead and pan that way and give you kind of a look. I mean, this is more stuff that I might look at when I come to fish. Now, when it starts to get to evening time like this, a lot of times I'll go tie on some top water or something like that. But the bass are probably, there's probably a bunch of bass kind of up in the weeds right now. But I did want to focus on kind of that rocky points, rocky structure bottom like is what I've been wanting to kind of mainly send out to you guys, because you're going to find the better fish when you get on them. Now, it may require you to fish a little bit longer, slow down, speed up, that kind of manner. The fish that you've seen, that's a little bit better fish. Now, are you going to be able to go flip the weeds? Yeah, you can, but we're getting to the point of year now that all the bigger ones are starting to move out a little bit. So the ones you're going to find up in the weeds are probably going to be, you know, 1.5 pounders, 2 pounder, stuff like that. Now, the baits that I showed you guys, a lot of those baits we've already covered in the first video. the part series of the Bass Fishing 101. So these baits I have today, you don't necessarily have to have that many rods to come fish all this stuff, but that kind of gives you a base starting line. If you're just brand spanking new to lake fishing, or you haven't lake fished that much and you're wanting to learn a little bit more about bass fishing, that's probably the starting point of what I would take. So get you a jig or two. You guys, if you need that refresher, go to part 1. But get all the baits that I've covered and then come out here and fish. That's the number one surefire way that you're going to learn. You guys can watch a million of these videos, whether you're watching my videos or somebody else's videos. Guys, you can watch them all day long, but that doesn't mean that when you come out here to the lake that you're going to be able to smack one. Now, having that knowledge, is it better? Yes, it's all day. It gives you a starting point, gives you the step ahead of the game if somebody hadn't watched it. So keep that stuff in mind. And we come out here, like I said, we had those baits that I showed you at the beginning, and we found a fish. Now, if I'd have kept that shaky head on a little longer, honestly, we would probably caught a lot more fish, but that wasn't the idea of this video. The idea of this video was giving you guys something to set your reference on, to be able to find a bite when you can't get nothing to bite. So we went and checked a few different spots. We come down here, didn't have a whole lot of time. So we're getting dark. We're probably going to go ahead and fish a little bit more, but the camera light's kind of going to disappear on us in probably the next 5 or 6 minutes. So until then, guys, make sure you get in the comments. You got any questions, anything you'd like to see. Now, as far as just plain out fishing videos, guys, I know you've been wanting them, so get ready. After the series here, we're going to go back, we're going to start fishing. We may have one more part into it, and it's going to be bank fishing. And we might cover like perch, stuff like that, so we'll have something like that in here hopefully pretty soon. But here right now, we're going to probably start covering a lot more just out here fishing and then talking about baits as we're fishing. So until then, guys, see you on the next one.